Test, test.
人烦恼大，比古来的人嫉妒障碍大，比古来的人
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, let's get started. Let's continue.
你经给人家洗衣服，镜向外照，没有回光返照。所以，咱们现在已经到第4个期上，凡是。
Or, after open stillness, you also lower your head like this. So now, it's already the 4th qi.
对呀，坐也不像一个坐的样子，走也不像一个走的样子。
But still, our sitting posture is no good, and our walking posture is no good.
怎么坐不像坐的样子呢？坐到那个地方，一坐那个地方，就把头低下去。
How is our sitting posture no good? You sit over there. Once you sit over there, you put your head down.
低到自己的脚那个地方，和这个脚啊做邻居。随着开镜了之后，也把头低下去，这么样。
You lower your head to your feet to be neighbor with your feet. Or, after open stillness, you also put your head down like that.
这个君子上达，小人下。你这个头一低。
The progress of a superior person is upward. The progress of a mean person is downward.
这就是和地狱接近。你头抬起来，这和天堂啊接近。
Once you lower your head, that is to be close to hell. Once you lift your head up, that is to be close to heaven.
这个天堂地狱俱在一念间，一念呢就是天堂，一念就是地狱。
Heaven and hell is within one thought. Your one thought can be heaven, or your one thought can be hell.
一念脚就是天堂，你呀，脚就是不分。
If you have a thought of awakening, that is heaven. If you are awakened, that is not being drowsy.
一念迷就是地狱，地狱就是昏沉，昏沉就是地狱。
If you have a thought of confusion, that is hell. Hell is being drowsy. Being drowsy is hell. Why don't you want to progress upward when cultivating? Why do you only like to go downward?
上已经开经了，为什么还要低这个头？是不是没睡醒？
You should progress upward. It was already after opening stillness. Why did you still lower your head? Is it because you haven't slept enough?
我看见很多事，对，这就是一种懒惰，一种堆眉不振。
I have seen this many, many times. This manner is a kind of laziness, a kind of dispirited and listless nature.
就是一个没有什么意思一个行为说我这么低着头可以就不疲倦了。
It is a meaningless behavior. You say, if I lower my head like this, then I will not feel tired.
你就认可以疲倦，也不可以把头低下。你常常这样低着头，那个功夫绝对不能相应。
You would be better off enduring tiredness than to put your head down. If you often keep your head down like that, then your kung fu will for sure not improve.
怎么那个好的样子不学，一定要学这种坏的样子？
Why don't you learn from good examples? Why must you learn from this kind of bad example?
把头低下去，莫如拿一个刀把那个头斩去除。
It would be better to take a knife and cut the head off than to put your head down.
Such violence. Yes, is there a question in the back? 2.
Master, why would it be better to cut the head off?
It's a Chinese expression. I'm sure you didn't mean it. Continue.
您的这个头在这个身上这么重这个脖子也挺不起来。
So, your head won't be so heavy on your body that you can't even straighten your neck.
咱们修行应该照那好样子，不应该自己做出一个特别的坏样子。
When we cultivate, we should learn from good examples and should not specially make a bad example ourselves. 一天生死不了，就一天不能懒惰下来。你除非你生死了了。 If you haven't ended life and death today, then you can't be lazy today, unless you have already ended birth and death.
那时候你才是所作已办，所应该做的已经做完了。
Only at that time, then you finished what you were doing. What needed to be done is already done.
大事已毕，这个生死两个。
The gigantic task was completed. Once the birth and death ended, then this gigantic task was completed.
你那时候睡觉也好，低着头也好，你头在地下走路，用脚在天上呢，也可以，你不用。
At that time, whether you sleep or keep your head down, or walk with your head on the floor and your feet on the sky, are all okay.
脚来走路，用头走。你怎么样颠倒过来也可以，不是。
You can walk with your head, not walk with your feet. No matter how upside down you are, it is all okay.
呀，在这个没成道业没成的时候，不可以懈怠。
But these are not for when you haven't achieved your way achievements yet. How could you be lax?
Okay, so start. Thank you. Okay, let's backtrack and see what the master taught. It's a lot of stuff. He sounded very angry, didn't he? Okay. Last night, we talked about a lot of stuff, and we didn't really have time to finish it, but it's okay. We can revisit it. But last night, I started telling you that our style of Wei-Yang training is slightly different from theirs, from his in particular. I feel his is a little bit too Chinese, and maybe that's why the end result is not impressive to me. Okay, because while I work for them, for the Chinese, for all this time, I feel that it's probably could be improved here in our country so that we can produce better results. Okay, and the results speak for themselves. I'm not speaking from theory. It sounded last night was fighting and struggling and experimenting. Not at all. I'm describing to you what we've been doing at Welu Mountain Temple and Wei Mountain Temple the last 15, 16 years. Okay? So it's not quite the way the Chinese do it, and that's why I feel we have better results. Maybe because we're more lucky or something, but anyway, so tonight we continue with the master's training in Chan, and this is very important. This is the foundation of the Chan he brought to our country. So it pays to go through it again to make sure that we understand what is his foundation. Okay? And he's complaining, this section he's complaining about people lowering their heads. Okay? He says, this is the fourth week already, the fourth Ji already, and people are still lowering their heads. Okay? And in particular, after 4 weeks, all this time, the sitting posture is no good, and walking is no good either. Okay? So he's complaining. He says, haven't you learned anything? So now it behooves upon me to remind you that there's a certain proper way of sitting and proper way of walking. Okay, now I will concentrate on the sitting posture. Okay, he's not happy that some people, as soon as the session starts, the meditation session starts, they would lower their heads. Okay, they put their heads down, and then he says, well, you are becoming neighbors with your feet, okay? When you meditate, and you should be mindful that the superior person progresses upward, and an inferior person is downward. For us Americans, the expression more appropriate is a superior person progresses forward, and the inferior person progresses backward. Okay, but here he uses the analogy of higher and lower. Okay, and then he says, when your head is higher, you are closer to the heaven. The head is lower, you're closer to the hells. So basically, for us cynical people, Westerners, so heaven and hells are not that far apart. The head goes down in hell, you go a little bit up, it's heaven. Okay, Westerners, we're leaving room for Westerners to make fun of us. Okay, so there's no need to use this analogy, but he keeps on going. Within one thought, without heaven, one thought is hell, that's correct. Okay, but it has nothing to do with posture. You have a thought awakening, that is heaven. If you awaken, that's not being drowsy. A thought awakening is really not heaven. Okay, this is for babies, for kindergarten. It's not true. We don't talk like that here. Okay, and we know better. A thought awakening is certainly not heaven, because if we say that, then the Catholics are a lot closer to heaven than we are, because their thoughts are always with God, and ours not. Okay, what thought of confusion is hell? Hell is being drowsy is not hell. Well, probably true. You want a thought of confusion is hell, you want to progress upward, that's why you still lower your head, because you haven't slept enough. Okay, so what is the matter with you? Why you keep on bending over? Maybe you didn't have enough sleep last night after 4 weeks. You hope it's the case. Yes. 2.
Master, the phrase in English, open in stillness, what does it mean?
Tai Ching is from Chinese. It's just you begin stillness. It's not open stillness. You begin stillness, meaning you begin the session of stillness. Okay, so he says, maybe you haven't slept enough yet. The point of all this Chan Qi is for you not to have enough sleep and keep on fighting it, and then eventually you overcome the sleepiness. That's part of the training. But he's not very happy with these people, I guess. Number 3.
Thank you, Master. How does one begin stillness?
Meditate. Begin stillness meaning to begin the meditation session. You meditate. That's all. That's how the Chinese put them together, talk. Okay. The Chinese is very elegant. They're very poetic. They use these flowery words, and that's why if you're Chinese, you appreciate it. But for us Westerners, it's sort of like too abstract, if you will. And that's confusing to us. And that's my problem with the Chinese. The Chinese are too flowery, and it leaves a lot of room for misinterpretations, especially now. The young generation of Chinese are misinterpreting and misreading the texts and the scriptures and the explanation of the sages. It's so easy to distort them. Okay, so that's why I'm changing a little bit of that. I'm using more exacting words, more descriptive words, more of our American style of talking. Okay, because I don't like the fuzziness, nebulous nature of their description. You move forward and you see. Okay, I've seen many times. Yes, many of you haven't slept enough. This is kind of laziness, kind of spirit, and this is nature. This is correct. The Chan Qi is about being vigorous and trying your hardest. Okay, so there's no excuse for being lazy. You're supposed to go all out, and so if you lower your head like that, and you say that I will not feel tired, and this is wrong, okay? And if you put your head down like that, your kung fu will will not improve. Well, it's not quite true. But it's basically he's scolding these babies, okay? These people, okay? And my question as I went through this, I listened to it, and I said, were they sitting in full lotus? If they're sitting in full lotus, it's very difficult to bend over. Okay? So maybe he should not be scolding them about bending over, but should be scolding them for not being in full lotus. Okay? So we're not there, so we don't know. Okay? Anyway, that's how the master taught. Okay, it's interesting. It's very Chinese style of addressing this problem. So don't we learn from good examples? These kind of bad examples. I say, you come to a place, look around. There are plenty of good examples. People walking around properly, sitting around properly. So that's what you should learn. You should not be so ignorant. And if you keep on lowering your head, cut your head off, okay? Because your head is useless, okay? That's Chinese again, Chinese humor. When we cultivate, should learn from good examples, especially make best examples of ourselves. Yes, it's true. We are in a big Dharma assembly, so we should be, trying to keep up with the good behavior or the exemplary behavior and good role models, okay? That's part of learning in the Great Assembly. If people do certain things, and you do, especially the monks and nuns, you have to pay attention to the proper behavior, how to sit, how to walk, and so forth. And don't bend over your head over, okay? You haven't ended life and death today, therefore you can't be lazy today unless you already ended birth and death. Okay, then you can be. Okay, so he says the objective is this: is the primary reason for me to be upset about it is because you have not ended birth and death. Okay, because this is the purpose of Buddhism. Buddhism will teach you never forget, lose track of this. You practice Chan, you practice Buddhist practices. It's to end birth and death. That one goal right there is foremost in our mind. And the Buddhas teach us, Bodhisattvas come to our world to teach us, patriarchs come to our world to teach us, go through a lot of hardship to teach us how to end birth and death. And when you end birth and death, okay, then it is called what must be done is already accomplished. It's already finished. Okay, 所作已办. Okay, this is the sutra and the sutra text. This is what the Buddha taught us. He says, when you have reached fourth stage arhatship, okay, or higher, then you are called, and it's called 所作已办, meaning that what needs to be done, okay, what needs to be done is already accomplished, is already finished. Okay, so that's why there's this expression. What has to be done is accomplished. Okay, so it's an achievement. It's a moment of rejoicing. Okay. So this is a very important expression. So for example, when they, in the scriptures, when they list a list of these great arhats, disciples of the Buddha, and they say all these names, and at the end they say these are great, virtuous sanghas, and who have accomplished what needs to be done. Okay, so this refers to the attainment of fourth stage arhat. Okay, getting there. Yeah. 大事已毕. Okay. So this is not in the sutras. Okay, but I haven't read. Maybe other sutras. I haven't read the many sutras anyway, so I shouldn't generalize too much. 大事 here, okay, is the great matter. 已毕 is finished. The great matter is finished. The great task is finished. What great task is he referring to? Great task here refers to ending birth and death. To end birth and death is a commendable endeavor, probably more so than being famous, making money, and so forth. That's why it's called the great endeavor, the great matter, the great endeavor is finished. Okay, because it's nothing bigger, this endeavor in life. Yes, number 7.
A Di Đà Phật, thưa thầy, có phải là liễu sinh tử là cái trong mình khai kinh mình đọc là realize non-birth?
Master, ending birth and death, does it the same meaning in the sutra when we say that it's we realize non-birth?
Yes. Yes, 3.
Hello? Thank you, Master. I don't know what that realizing number means. So does ending birth and death mean finding awareness and emptiness and then becoming eternal and doing Buddha things forever?
To end birth and death, meaning that you put an end to your ego, put an end to the self. That would put the end, the self is the source for your birth and death. So you put an end to your ego, then the birth and death is finished. Okay, so it's called the great matter, the great endeavor, the great work, is because it's extremely important and extremely difficult. It is important because it is reversing the decline of this world. It's reversing the growth of the demons and the evil that's growing. The influence and the damages from the demons and the evil that's growing all around us. So wherever this person who has entered birth and death goes, that's where he or she exerts a great influence in that vicinity, stabilizes the area, okay, which otherwise is not. So that's why in Buddhism, the measure of success is not in terms of temples, in terms of disciples, in terms of money, in terms of reputation. It's about whether or not you can end birth and death, okay, and then go out there and establish yourself. Just be yourself. If not, this world keep on deteriorating and it's accelerating. Case in point, climate change. Okay, it's accelerating. Okay, because and if that happens, it's precipitating the destruction of our world. And the Buddhists who cultivate, we are mindful of that, and we can slow down. Okay, because this is the era of destruction, the era of decline, the era of degeneration, and therefore decay, and therefore all we can do is to slow it down or stop it in our own small sphere of influence. Okay, so that we're a bastion of stability, a bastion of safety, a bastion of hope for those who wish to get some relief, those who wish to get out of this vicious cycle of suffering and nonsense. That's the Buddhist ideal. And that's why we apply effort for that purpose. And people are very happy, very feels very rewarding when they reach those states. Okay, so that's why once you get to that point, it's called the great endeavor is accomplished. The 所做, what needs to be done is accomplished. The great matter is finished. The great endeavor is finished. Is completed. Is completed is probably better. The great endeavor is completed. This is what Buddhism is about. This is why we spend all this time, make all these efforts and do all this suffering is for this purpose. And that's a higher level. And before you get there, you can continue to improve. At each level of improvement, you are even making bigger contributions to the world. Okay, so for Buddhism, we have the whole continuum, the whole spectrum. At the top, you need to have the people who have the samadhi and the strength to protect you, so that underneath, okay, the people who are on the way are able to do the good work and contribute to the world. It's dual, it's twofold. You need to have the protection on top. Establish a safe zone, the green zone, you will, in Baghdad, okay, where people inside can do good work. That's how it works. So this is the vision for our Dharma ending age. Don't be dispirited, don't be discouraged by the destruction and the tornadoes and all the things outside, because that's the sign of the times. But inside these cocoons, inside these forts, we still have people who are cultivating and hoping to be able to make significant contributions to our society, to our world. This is our ideal. Questions or comments? Yes, 9.
Master, it's the first time I've heard that ending birth and death, for us to reach that, we will actually affect those around us.
Absolutely.
I think that's great.
We greatly affect those around us, our families, our friends, our neighbors, our communities. Wherever fourth stage Arhat resides, the economy improves and becomes prosperous. That's a fact. Why? Because wherever the fourth stage Arhat stays, the demons and the bad elements want to stay away from them.
So ending birth and death means that we're able to no longer, we got off the reincarnation wheel. That's what we mean, right?
Yes.
That's tremendous.
We no longer are subject to reincarnation.
And that it affects then our circle of our families and those within our community because we are there.
Because then we are able to exert a positive influence on our community, on the people around us.
That's great.
Okay? We exert a sphere influence. And instead of exerting a negative influence, bad influence on those around us, we actually are now doing the reverse. Until you become a fourth stage Arhat, what you're doing is adding to the evil, to the destruction of the world.
Wow. Thank you, Master.
Yes. Free.
Master, I remember your old lectures. You mentioned about the demon eventually will destroy the world. And in that lecture, you also said that this practice, this cultivation is basically try to delay that process to destruction.
Yes.
So, and then I guess you kind of answer, but I'm not sure. You said that you kind of, when you cultivate, you're trying to help other people. And I guess you're delaying this destruction and you give them more people time to end birth and death. Is that what this whole thing's about, the cultivation?
As part of the process, yes. Because in order for you to end birth and death, you need help. And therefore, as I said, the help comes in the form of protective canopy, where under that umbrella, okay, you will be safe and you'll be able to practice and protect it in safety. Okay? And that's what is required for you to make progress. Because if you are not protected, okay, then you are easily swayed and you easily led astray. And not only are you protected, also we do a lot more than that. Under this umbrella, this is why you need to come under the umbrella. We're not going to go out there. None of our business. You choose not to come to the temple, you choose not to engage, it's not a problem, it's your life. Okay? But there's some of you who decide to come and take advantage of the protection and the guidance. This is very critical. Not only this protection, the protection is only the starting point. Because you need to be safe, first of all. But more importantly, for you to complete the great endeavor, you need guidance. You need to be trained. And this is why it's so critical. That is why the patriarchs appear in the world, to do that. To train you and to protect you. I am not happy if you're a patriarch and you're not doing that. You're supposed. This is what patriarchs are supposed to do because we can't figure it out ourselves because we need protection. Patriarchs sacrifice their lives. Look at 6 patriarchs. As soon as he took the rope and a bow, he had to run away for his life so that he could develop the skill to protect us. and protect thousands of students in his workplace, and then guide them on how to get there. This is what patriarchs do. This is what good no advisors do. It's your responsibility. Contrast that with worldly attempts such as charity work, such as building bridges and whatever. Those are important, okay? But plenty of people who are qualified, who are skilled to do those things. How many people can give you protection and can guide you to do great things, to accomplish the great matter and the great endeavor? So all you're doing is you may be building bridges, but you go home and you inflicting pain and suffering on your family. So it's a wash. You're feeding people, yes, they don't die of hunger, and they feel better. Okay, they get warmth in the stomach, but then they have the energy to create more offenses, do more evil. And this is where worldly people are confused. They forget the big picture. The big picture is to stop evil. The evil from your ego. Your ego is evil. It's nowhere else. As long as you still have an ego, you're evil. Doesn't matter how rich you are, doesn't matter how philanthropic you are, you're still evil. You're capable of great evil. And it's waiting for a chance to pull your strings to do those evil things. And that's why it's so critical for us who understand the process, who have a bigger perspective, to understand why we're doing this. I have been teaching Chan meditation for 15 years. I never gotten to really as heavily as the Master YongHua, who would do it in 4 weeks in a Chan Chi. He said the great matter and so forth. Okay? Because what we try to do, unlike the Chinese, to speak a lot. They speak the great endeavors being completed. What needs to be done has been accomplished. Okay? Those are great slogans. But they lack details. They lack planning. They're not action-oriented. Quietly, the last 15 years, what do? We meditate and we make progress, and we make progress, and the progress brings us to this level where the great endeavor is completed. Instead of talking about it, we've been doing it. The Chinese talk about it. Okay? Here's my problem. If after 4 weeks, so you come here, I start talking to you, the great endeavor is completed. What needs to be done is finished. Okay? It means nothing to you. It's all talk. This is what the Chinese are good at doing. They talk so nice, they talk so good. They all agree on this, and yet no one knows how to get there. Three.
Thank you, Master. I certainly have faulty thinking about this, and I'm genuinely looking for help. I was reading the story of Guan Yin and how, as a bodhisattva, they were standing on top of a mountain, and They had been protecting the world for 1,000 years and did a count of like all that they had helped and all that they didn't help, and realized that it had gotten worse. And so they had a moment of doubt, and then Amitabha Buddha split Guanyin into a million pieces, and then they came back together again and kept going at work, reinvigorated to continue on until they became a Buddha. And I guess like that's what I think ending birth and death is. Going ahead and becoming that type of being that just embodies compassion, feels endless bliss, and works all the time towards helping others. And somehow that's not inspiring enough for me. What's wrong with me?
Nothing wrong with you. You learn all the wrong stuff. You all talk. You all concepts. It starts. The great journey starts with one step. You take a step, you learn full lotus. You overcome your reluctance to train. You talk too much, you think too much, you analyze too much, you want to understand. There's nothing to understand. Understand this. Be grateful. I'm being blunt with you. Be grateful. I'm teaching you how to do it. Who else will? All they do for you is give you more ideas, more thoughts, more knowledge. How does knowledge help you conquer yourself? It's the ego. It says, I don't like this pain. It's too much for me. How are you going to overcome that? How does talking big going to help you overcome that? How many people can train you how to overcome that in this world? How many people have the audacity to look in the eyes and say, you are wrong. You all talk. It's all concepts with you. You know, different from the Chinese. They just talk big, that's all. We quietly overcome our reluctance, our fear of pain. Everyone who's been coming here for a long time realize that's what they need to do. And there's a problem with people in the world. They know too much, but only garbage knowledge. The more you know, the more questions you're going to have, the more thinking you're going to do. And more garbage knowledge. It's useless. It will not help you overcome your suffering. And then there are some Buddhists, who are the Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, who say, oh, I need to end birth and death because I need to make sure the great endeavor is completed. But then no one tells them how. Because as soon as someone tells them the proper way, they say, this is too difficult, this is too much. I worked so hard the entire week. Why do I have to come on the weekend in the temple and suffer some more? You're not coming to suffer some more. You're coming to learn how to end all that suffering and enjoy the kind of bliss, the kind of happiness you cannot otherwise experience on your own. On your own, you basically are a victim to your own circumstances, to the stress, to the environment that's overpowering, overwhelming for all of you. Unless you learn how to wrest control back, you're not going to make it. You're going to keep on, cycling in this wheel reincarnation. And still, next lifetime you say, oh, I'm an intellect. Next now I want to be a savant or a scientist or, whatever. And I will know more than most other people. That knowledge is what dooms you. And the knowledge is what gives you pain and suffering. That's the wrong kind of knowledge. Okay? But when we're being upfront about it, honest about it, people don't like it. They're upset. They say, why don't you talk about something pleasant, like saving the poor, feeding the poor, clothing the needy, give them food. Yeah. The people who excel doing that, we're not experts in that. We're experts in helping you end your birth and death and end your suffering once for all. Okay, now going back to slide 264. The master complains again. He says, you sleep or keep your head down, walk with your head on the floor, sit on the thigh, it's all okay. If after you ended birth and death, whatever you do is out of wisdom. Before you end yourself, your ego, you put an end to the self, whatever you do is evil. That's Buddhism for you, as blunt as I can be. As you progress, your ego shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. That's what it takes. It's not talk. Yes?
Master, can a full stage arhat still be evil and destructive to the world?
Of course. There are all kinds of fourth stage arhats. They're still like all kinds of Americans. But the difference is a fourth stage arhat can be taught. But lower than that, it takes too long. Okay, so he says, when you get the fourth stage arhat, you can do a lot of weird things, which is okay. Okay, it doesn't matter to us then. You do whatever you want. And he says, this is critical. I don't care you achieve it now, this chi, or this lifetime, but you need also to be cognizant of this. You need to end your birth and death. You need to end your ego. You put an end to yourself. That is the overriding goal. Lifetime after lifetime. Let's be real about it. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm doing this, to help you do that. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. I'd rather go, go home, watch football, or, play with my kid, or I don't know, go fishing. He said, in order to get there, you cannot be lax. You cannot lose sight of this. Whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Catholic, it doesn't matter. You cannot lose sight of this. You need to end your ego. That's when you are an asset to the world. And again, we know how to do it. And it consumes all our time, our energy, and our strength, because that's why we don't have time to go do charity work. Because if we do charity work, it's not going to be that much better than the specialist, the person who is NGO and all those people. Okay? They specialize that. We don't. Okay? And it's I don't want it to sound more negative about the Chinese style of teaching. I leave it at that. Okay, it's very deliberate. It's the Buddhist teacher is the one who has this master plan here, and he understands how to do it. Okay, and this is the meaning. This is the purpose of Master Shishara brought up, bringing this Dharma to us, because my generation is supposed to do this. Help you understand it. And we need to pass on that knowledge to your generation. Because Master Shishara and the patriarch before him passed it on to my generation. So now it's up to us to pass it on to you. And how do we pass it on to you? By making sure you end birth and death. It's not talk. Cultivation is to lead you by the nose, by the ear, by the arm, by the legs, whatever, drag you, because we know the way. Because they drag us already. We went through the process of ourselves so that we know that way. The Wei Yang way. It's very important work. And back then, in the old times, the emperors and the kings would support this. Nowadays, it's Dharma ending age. And that's why they, there's no more support. That's why people are more interested in doing, worldly things. Instead of taking care of the big matter, the big endeavor, and supporting people who do that. If you have these such people, then all the, many of the world issues, the world biggest disasters and problems, tornadoes, earthquake, and flooding, will not plague those areas where those people reside. And this is why we need to get you there, bring you there, and then you go out on your own, and you exert your own sphere of influence. And that's how we quietly save the world, not by talking, by being, by doing. And it's a Dharma ending age. That's why, smart visionaries and people only see charity and philanthropy. They don't see this big matter here. Okay? And this is what it takes to reverse the decay, to stop the destruction. Okay? Notice in California, how often do we have tornadoes? How often do we have earthquakes? Huh? Because they stay away from here. We chase them away. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. It's supposed to have an earthquake, supposed to have a tornado, supposed to have a flood. Okay? Every year it's supposed to happen. If it doesn't happen here, tough luck. It's going to be pushed away somewhere else. That's what has to happen. Did you have a question? Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. In my sphere of influence, currently it's come up where I've been asked to teach about meditation, but I'm very hesitant to say, yes, I can do that without the proper permission. What should I do in this situation?
You could teach meditation. It's okay. You're in a position of power and influence. You can teach a meditation. Okay. You should have some guest teachers as well. Oh. Okay. Share with them what you know. And there are two kinds of people. Those are sheeps, where they do it because you tell them to. And there's some people who are stars, where they say, wow, I got a lot out of this. I want some more. Okay? And then there are more resources. But yours is a starting point. A good one. And you need to do that. You need to train your people, invest in your people. Meditation is one of the biggest investment vehicles. Okay? You should do it, you should tell your boss and say, I want to do it freely. Not because we want to retain them. So no, we want to train our talents within our company so that even when they leave the company, okay? And they become assets to somewhere else as well, okay? So that the great ones, the great talent will see our philosophy, who we really are, and they will stick around because of that. The weaker ones will leave. That's a vision. We invest in our people. We invest in our resources, develop talents. We keep investing in developing a talent. That's why they stick around. We need to have this message. We want to have on a mission to do good and make money. Making money is part of the picture. We want to do good with our lives, with our professions. And the good people, loyal people will come. All right, any other questions or comments? Yes.
Sure, on page 266, 道业, could Master help with the translation on 道业?
The karma of the way. Stick the karma of the way. And then you can explain. Okay? All right, let's continue. Before we small in Lu Mountain Temple, where we are just hoping to survive and live quietly, because we know it's not my work. I'm no patriarch. I'm not interested in being a patriarch. I have zero interest in being patriarch. Okay? And therefore, I used to defer to the second patriarch and say, use your job, not my job. Because when I start doing this, people are going to start thinking I espouse to be like you, or trying to usurp your responsibility, your power, and your name and reputation. But we waited patiently for several years, and nothing happened. And I'm running out of time. And meanwhile, my students improve so much that I cannot ignore it anymore. So that's why we're taking a stand. We're saying, hey, this is the American way. We don't like the Chinese way, period. Tough luck. You stick to your Chinese way, we stick to our American way. Go ahead, conk. So whatever they do, I call it Chinese because it hasn't changed.
Master, I remember that even Western Buddhist Pure Land even declined and demolished it one day. So even Western Buddhist Pure Land, they are demolished by demons, even though there's still Amitabha Buddha.
It's a different case. It's not demolished by demons. Everything that is born will eventually perish. Okay? It perishes for whatever the reasons, but it certainly is not because of demons. Demons cannot touch the Pure Lands, okay? But it's just like living things. Eventually they die, that's all, okay? And that's the nature of things. Even when the Pure Land dies, the people will be moved temporarily to another place, okay, where they continue the cultivation while the next Pure Land is being formed, and then they move back there. So it's no big deal at all. It's different from our case. In our case here in the Sao world, when the world here perishes, we are in big trouble. Okay, only those who have the escaped birth and death, and such people will be saved. Those people below that will perish, will go to the proper destinations upon death, meaning hells, animal realms, and so forth. That's the way it is. So they precipitate that process so that after this new sound world is recreated, you were born here, and that's what you're going to be. It's very, very scary thought. Think about it. And before even you're dead, you undergo so much suffering, so much stress. The stress and the suffering only increases. Will not get any better, except where Mahayana territory is. All right, continue, please.
出家，为了什么要出家？
To live the home life. Why do we live the home life?
出家是想要修行，不是一天到晚呢打妄想。
We live the home life because we want to cultivate, not to have false thoughts day and night.
你在这个长期的期间，无论哪一位有正当的事情可以做，没。
During our Chanqi, whoever has proper work can do the work.
正当的事情，要来随喜这个做。
But if you don't have proper work, then you should come to investigate Chan, to rejoice and follow this transit.
You see, that's precisely what it's about. I'm not saying all of you will be able to end birth and death, okay? But you need to understand the direction of your lives so that you have a bigger picture, a long-term picture. Because it doesn't end right here. Even if whatever you do, you cannot complete the great endeavor, okay? But at least you're building the foundation. You're paving the way for that. Then it's meaningful. Because when you do that, then you receive help. You plant the seeds to go to receive further help. For example, even if you don't end your birth and death this lifetime, okay, then with that particular mindset, most likely you can probably have a chance to go to the Pure Land. Because we must have other things to make sure that you will ascend, not regress. This is what it's about. It's a big picture. So if you can investigate Chan, investigate Chan. If not, then work. What he means by proper work is help out, plant blessings, practice giving. Don't waste time. He says, when you come to this temple here, you can meditate. You can't meditate, then go work. Go plant your blessings. Continue.
在这个坐禅的期间，白天人少，人都应该到前面，不要到那个里边去，就是你。
During the period of Chan meditation, there aren't many people during the day. You should all sit in the front. Don't sit over there.
你 以为睡觉方便，在那容易睡觉，常人看不见，这是一种最快的行为。
You think it's convenient to sleep over there, convenient to sleep over there, because others won't see you. This is the worst behavior.
You see, it's very Chinese. They're very orderly. They have you know, they expect you to behave like sheeps. You're supposed to sit in front, and you're not supposed to hide. In America, we're not like that. We love to hide. We love to do things our style. And you cannot fit the Americans into this Chinese mold. I don't know why people didn't complain. I mean, me, yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. I can validate that because growing up, the cool kids did not sit at the front of the bus. The cool kids, we sat in the back of the bus because when the bus would drive, it's a long bus, and it hit a bump, then if you're in the back of the bus, you'd like jump up higher, and that was more fun.
Sick American kids.
I have to say, I feel like that's carried over to my Buddha Hall experience. This is about as close as I've ever managed to get, and it's been quite an ordeal to get this far.
Well, you see, that's precisely why I feel that the Chinese style of training would turn a lot of Americans off. Because they expect you, like even the Koreans, to have a certain behavior a certain way. In America, we can't force people into molds. People are very individualistic, and they are ferocious about defending their freedom of expression, the individuality, and that's fantastic. And then we should adapt to that. Okay, and that's why we're all over. You know, you sit wherever you want, you snore, except if you bother other people cultivation. That's when we stop you. Otherwise, you do whatever you want. You bend over, you sleep, whatever. Okay, as long as you're working. Okay, if you're working hard and you happen to sleep, you happen to bend over. I remember one of my early disciples at Lu Mountain Temple. The one moment when she went down to the Chanchi, the first time she sat down, she bent over immediately for the whole hour, and then hit the bell. I used to sit with them, had nothing else to do. Those were the days. Thank you. And then the bell hit, and got up and walked away. Every single sit for 7 days. I didn't say a single word. Okay? So one day, she did it again, the next Chi. So one night I was too curious. I said, why do you bend over? She says, I'm so bored. For that, I never dare talk to her again. I never dare say anything to her again. What can you do? She find me boring. What can I do? But as long as you come and sit with me for the day, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Eventually, she reached 4th stage art. I think this will not fly with the Chinese, let me tell you. I remember when I was there at Master Hsu's temple, they come around and people sat, people would sit straight, for the hour, and then the bell rang, and they stood up and they walked, and I said, I want to sit some more. I want to cross my legs some more, but I'm tired. But sitting, like that is too stiff. I'm tired, so lean forward. Okay, still kept my legs crossed, but I didn't walk. Sure enough, some smart aleck Chinese came over and said, hey, tapped me on the shoulder and said, get up and walk. I say what? Can I cross my legs and say, this is a free time, can I do whatever I want? No, you got to get up and walk, because that's the rule. And that loser is still there and still getting nowhere. I look at him and say, oh, what a pity you are. All these years, you learn nothing because you're sheeps. In America, we allow people to be not sheeps. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. You're reminding me of when I was sitting with you in Chanchi's early on at Lu Mountain Temple, and I had no posture. I had no idea what I was doing. But there would be periods of time during my sit where I would straighten up. And you shared later on in lectures that when, forgive me for paraphrasing, when your chi is recharging you, it can shoot up your spine and you'll sit straight.
Absolutely. You don't quit, and eventually you sit straight.
And it
didn't work for that woman, though. 7 days. Sleeping 7 days.
Different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But I wanted to say how grateful I am that you allowed me to pretend to be a cool kid on the back of the bus and hunch over until I could experience that. Because otherwise I would never have recognized it, and probably my ego wouldn't have let me get that far. So
no, it's not just that. It's just that I feel, because of out of necessity, if at Lu Mountain Temple, we enforce the Chinese rule, no one is going to show up anymore. Everyone hunches over. Oh, I hate this. It's too cold here, too drafty here. They complain. They bitch and moan constantly. They say, why is it so cold here? Why is it so drafty here? Our windows have draft. You happen to sit near a window, you will be sorry, because you can feel this cold air coming to your face constantly, and we can't stop it. Yes, 2.
Master Pingdeng Qingqing asked, what level of samadhi was that Chinese that make you walk?
I don't know. I don't care. What do I care? It's Chinese. It's a Chinese issue. It's my master's temple's problem, not my problem. What do I care? You think I look around and say, oh, you that, oh, you that, oh, you that? I have better things to do with my life than looking at you, looking at other people. So what happened is that, we have this problem. These people come on the board, they don't believe in what we do, and say, you're not Chinese enough. I mean, your instructions are weird. I mean, you're too loose. But I'm not loose, people's going to quit. And that's why our training evolved, because I realized that here people are a lot more lax, and the training has to adapt to those types of people. Okay, even like Koreans who come here, they sit stiff and so forth, that's fine. But that has a problem itself, you see? Yeah. So that's why the plus and minus is in everything you do. I don't see why the Chinese has to insist on sitting straight. Okay? And that's why I call Hinayana Mahayana. It's too rigid. Under one more, you need to sit straight. Look at that. Eh? We are chaotic. We are anarchy here. We bite people's heads off. That's how it works. Okay? But ultimately, bottom line is, can the great endeavor be completed or not. That's all. That's all that matters. Okay, so this is very Chinese over there in China back then, or Korea. They have to sit straight, and you don't sit straight, they come and hit you. The Japanese, all the same thing. Okay, it's not going to fly in America, man. You're going to get sued. So this is a start. If you can do that, that's fine. You can't do that, it's okay too. There are other ways to train you. The training is not about sitting straight. When are the Chinese going to get it? Chinese is not about sitting straight. Sitting straight is eventually it's going to happen. If you stick to Chan, you will sit straight eventually. Well, you don't need to sit straight. Starting out. And I've proven it. Now people don't sit straight. And now people got much further, much higher, closer to the heavens than the Chinese style. Yes, 9.
Master, it's not really related to this specific thing, but I've...
Beef stroganoff.
Oh, and which...
Beyond.
Okay, thank you.
The other one has too much MSG.
Okay, thank you.
The one that he
Beyond.
likes is MSG Latin.
Okay, Beyond Burger and Beyond. Okay, I'll remember that.
Yes, and they can have cookies.
Oh, did you hear that? The Sangha?
Not
Sunday
so loud.
afternoon.
Not so loud.
I apologize. Forget I said anything. I have something I wanted to ask you about. I heard that somehow in the news or someplace they're talking about the effect of COVID to society, to the world. That everyone, because we've had to bear and go through this, that everyone's going to lose 2 years of life. Life expectancy just across the board is going to be 2 years less. So that, do you think because we can avoid that because of our strenuous cultivation, or are we included in that?
No, we're not. Actually, our lives will be lengthened. Every time you improve, your life is lengthened.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Master.
So it's a general rule, I guess, when their life will be shortened because of the stress, because of the depression, because of all these problems. The problems are mental. But we don't have those problems at all. Okay, continue, please.
If you can achieve enlightenment like this and attain the karma of the way.
Well, how, like what? Wait a minute, it would be weird. With what? Oh, you hide it and you sleep? Don't worry, kids. You're going to attain the karma of the way. Don't worry, okay? Be yourself. You don't have to be a Chinese style, okay? Nonsense Chinese style. I mean, they fit everyone to this mold, like a Japanese. It won't fly here in this country. Forget it. Here's the thing. Here's what my personal experience has been. What I watched. There's some people who are built for this. They have the blessing. They walk in here and say, I can sit for 2 hours. I could not sit for 2 minutes and I hurt so much. Unlike these people, I struggle like heck. I have to fight my way, learn my way. Okay, and I hunch over, hated it, bored to death. I experienced what you're going through. That's why I'm so lax, because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is hang in there, don't quit. No matter what. You can sit straight, don't quit. You cannot sit straight, just don't quit. That's all. Good things will happen. Because you fight. And the people who can sit for 2 hours and 45 minutes without any problems, they're the ones who quit. As soon as there's first signs of trouble, they say, oh, this is too hard. I thought it would be so pleasant and easy. Hey, lady, that's over there where you pay to sit. Over here, you don't pay, that's why you suffer. When are you going to get that? We can't charge you because it makes you suffer. And this is a problem, okay? I'm a late bloomer. Lots of people I know are late bloomers. They're brilliant people. They don't fit in any mold. If you were to go to the Korean style of education, French style education, okay, I would now be a manual laborer because I don't make the cut. What's great about our American system is that we tolerate mediocrity. It's okay to be mediocre. It's okay to be a good for nothing. But when the conditions ripen, you will blossom. That's our system. Chinese don't have room for this. You see that? Yeah, they sit straight. You cannot bend over. You cannot be close to hell. Hell, be close to hell for all I care. We accommodate people far better than the Chinese, the Koreans, or the Japanese, or the Vietnamese, and so forth. They're too rigid. Many people I know, started out as losers. Many of them are losers because you know why they're losers? Because they look down upon the winner and say, you are a winner? Really? I don't want to be like you. They're making a statement. And our country, our system, we allow that. We nurture that. They're a very special system, folks. I love it. Yes, too.
Ping Teng Qingjing said, I am grateful to master flexible training. I probably would never survived in the Chinese way and quit. Instead of being able to get to 5 hours in 2 years, thanks to Sangha of WMT.
Thank you for sharing with us. This is what we do. Okay? You can go at your own pace. As long as you don't quit, there's hope for you. That's all. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Korean is too stiff. That's why you don't follow the mold, you are discarded. Okay? So losers like me wouldn't have a chance. It turns out, the people fit in the mold who excel in a friend system, okay, they burn out very quickly. It's flash in the pan. They don't last very long. And when they become successful, they have a big head, and they cannot handle failure. Our system tolerates failure, tolerates mediocrity, so that we're much more resilient as a whole group. That's why we are American Wei Yang, not Chinese Wei Yang. Continue.
When you cultivate, you should take care of your own business. Don't let others take care of your business.
No. When you cultivate, you mind your business. You ignore others. You don't take care. You mind your business. Whatever others do is none of your business. That's our style. All right, next.
命人家管呢，那就是最没有价值。你自己不警惕自己，旁人怎么能帮得了你呢？
If you let others take care of your business, that's the most meaningless. If you're not alert yourself, how could others help you?
No, this is not what he means. I don't care if you Chinese understand it differently. Okay? When you mind other business, it's total nonsense. What they do in the Chan Hall is none of your business. So when you look at what they do in the Chan Hall, in your cultivation here, doing the Qi here, what they do, and complain, oh, it's wrong, it's sleep and whatever, it's none of your business. Okay? And if you are not minding your own business, okay, how can others possibly help you? It starts first with you deciding to help yourself and minding your own business. So that when people with wisdom decide to help you, then there's a chance. And people who don't have wisdom to help you, ignore them. Continue.
自己生死要自己了，自己吃饭要自己饱。
Your own birth and death, you need to end it yourself. When you eat, you need to be full yourself.
Wait. Okay. So he says here, your own birth and death. If you don't feel it's important to end it yourself, who's going to end it for you? Why you learning chant, how learning song? Why you're learning how to recite Buddha's name? Is to end your birth and death. Don't ever lose sight of it. Even if you go to the Pure Land, it's also to end your birth and death. It's all the same. You all have to find ways to end our birth and death. It's not about chant meditation. It's not about song. It's not about mantras. If they teach you these things and say, I teach you this mantra here so that you feel good all day for a few days. How does it end your birth and death? But if I teach you to endure your leg pains, that will end your birth and death. So you have to be able to discern what's a proper path or not. Beware of people who teach you pleasant things, because that does not end your birth and death. That young lady over there, my Korean chef, the first 2 years she came to my temple, she's untouchable. She said, I'm going to do it my way. Same thing, not her. I have another lady at Gold Forest. She says, I've seen all the great masters. I cultivated everywhere you can think of. It's a good program, Fochi or whatever. I would go there and cultivate with them. There's one thing. But when she came to do our Fochi with us, he says, I will push myself until I'm tired, then I stop, go back and rest. Wouldn't touch her, couldn't touch her, because she knows. You see, it's flexible. It's the same with Yipche. First 2 years, I wouldn't touch her. Why do you have to touch people? All she has to do is continue to come, and she watch all these people who are making progress, and she sees why. Because the people are struggling. They struggle, then they make progress. They're comfortable, they don't make progress. This is why it's so helpful to be together. You observe all these people. That's why now you understand why I say, oh, you made progress casually like that. Because it's not for them alone, it's for those people. Other people as well. And that's why the Chinese go crazy, go berserk over it. They say, oh, he's showing off. He's revealing these things when he's supposed to reveal. That's why you Chinese are losers. That's why these people are progressing, because they encourage each other. If someone progresses and others know about that, they say, hey, I want to be like that too. I'm better than her. What do you think? So you never lose sight of the fact you must be determined to end birth and death. That's your goal. And find ways to make it happen. And as long as you don't quit, you keep coming, then eventually you'll find a way. Don't you ever dare tell me that you quit because you don't like it, because then you deserve what you get. You'll be taught when it's time to be taught. Okay, continue. Oh, time is up. Any questions or comments? We have 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes. Any joke? Oh, there's some people who finished their fasting today and yesterday. Congratulations. Huh? Excellent. Very good. Especially these people, the first time they fasted as well, right? Okay. So it's excellent. And they push for 21 days, 22 days, 23 days. That's incredible. Okay. It's better than my concubine who only stopped 18 days. You see? Her failure is your success. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. I would like to say to all the Hanguk Sadam who've been fasting, you've exceeded you've surpassed any
Americans.
possible
We're weak, okay?
amount of time.
Self-indulgent. We can't take pain. We hate pain and suffering.
It is so humbling, and I'm so proud of what you have accomplished. Thank you for cultivating so hard.
Yeah. Okay, that's why we're going to have some real feast for you comes Christmas. Don't quit yet. Okay, they're not into eating yet, right? They have to go on liquid diet for a few days. 3-4 days is a good thing. Okay. And then during the 3-4 days, recite. Okay. All right. You did very well. I'm very pleased that you all work so hard. Okay. There's potential for you. I feel that in the Korean culture, it's very special. I'm not kissing up to them. I feel they're special because they're very hardworking and so forth. Unfortunately, they don't have the proper guidance. Okay. If we Americans who are lax and lazy and unruly can make it, so can they. Okay. So you see, the unruly, lax side of it, there's a way to work with that. Same thing. If you are orderly and you are obedient and so forth, that is strength starting out only, but eventually it becomes a problem. So that's why the training has to be flexible enough. Okay? That's all. Thank you, everyone. Good night.